Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a review and demo of some of the Kardashian beauty makeup products, specifically more of their newer products. I feel like in general their line, which you can find at Ulta and where I found mine, I feel like they kind of revamped, repackaged a couple of things, did a couple different little marketing things going on there, and honestly the packaging looked really nice and I was like a little bit intrigued. I was like back and forth, like should I try it, should I not, I don't know. Whether love them or hate them, Kardashians, honestly the makeup, and this is due to the makeup artist, is always really great. So I was curious as to what type of beauty products they were going to be putting out there, and I don't know, I was like, you know what, let's just do it, let's just review it, buy a little bit of everything. So if you guys want to see my thoughts on some of these products, definitely just keep on watching. So the first product that I want to talk about, this is their No Apologies liquid foundation. This runs for about $12.99, and the awesome part, the packaging is really cute, and I love the fact that it does come with a pump. So you can charge $12.99, you better come with a pump. I feel like that's my standard now. You better come with a pump. If you're going to cost more than $10, please at least include that. I ended up getting my color in the shade Natural Beige, number 40, and I'm like in the weird phase right now where I'm not sure should I get, like what color I should get, because I know my standard color. I'm usually pretty good at eyeing it, but I've gotten a little bit tanner, so I was like, let's hope this works. And I actually think it worked out pretty well for my tan that I am right now. Looking at the bottle though, initially I was like, ooh, that is pink. I was like, I'm usually running around the pinky neutral tone, so I was like, alright, hopefully it'll work. It did work a lot better than I would have thought. I think I matched it pretty well. I will say though that this does oxidize, so throughout the day this does get a little bit darker, so if you end up going maybe a shade lighter, it might work out for you. So it kind of worked out for me. But definitely number 40 Beige is definitely more on the pink side. If you run around yellowish tone, this probably will not work for you, and I feel like on camera it's coming out a little bit more pinky than say in person. So they say this is supposed to be a medium to full coverage, and honestly for me initially I feel like it's more of a light buildable, lightish slash medium coverage buildable. I feel like I can get it to about a medium coverage, because I'll show you guys in the demo. I did about one layer and I do have some acne blemishes around there, and with applying one layer it doesn't really cover those. You can still see that redness peeking through. So usually with initial like medium buildable to full coverage foundations, like that will cover it pretty well and definitely make it disappear by the second layer. With the second layer, it definitely did give me more of a medium coverage. I will say the blendability, I use a beauty blender, and beauty blender usually just, you know, blends out foundation flawlessly, but this is definitely one of those foundations you definitely have to kind of work into the skin, especially for me with drier skin. I definitely have to kind of pat it in a little bit more just to help it sink into the skin, because this is more, the finish is definitely more of, I will agree, it's definitely more of a satin, a very natural satin finish. Or rather, I'm usually a little bit more concerned with foundations because I really don't know sometimes what I'm in for. So I was like, ugh, I hope it's not too matte. But for me, for my dry skin, it wasn't too matte. It definitely was a comfortable satin finish. And something that I kind of noticed when wearing this foundation is that I prefer it as the day goes on a little bit. And this is going to be a little bit controversial, not controversial, but contradicting. Okay, so initially upon applying it for me, it's like, okay, not too matte. I don't feel like the dryness, like kind of like sucking my skin in. And it does kind of, not, I guess, get oilier. But maybe it just kind of sinks into my skin a little bit better, and it kind of, I guess the oils of my skin produce a little bit more. I don't know what, but I do still get dry. I do have dry patches where my general dry patches are in the middle of my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, around my nose, and a little bit on my chin. But the rest of my face does kind of, get oily, I guess. I don't know. I did add some Max Fix Plus, but before adding Max Fix Plus or anything, I did feel a little bit more hydration throughout, like as the foundation was setting. It's really hard to explain. This is really confusing. But I will say, if you're maybe more on the normal side, I would say give it a shot. I would say this does last me maybe around the 7-8 hour mark, only because I do feel like the areas where I do get dry do start to kind of flake off a little bit. That's kind of normal with my dry skin. If you're normal, this might work a little bit better for you. You might like it a little bit better. If you're oily, I'm afraid this definitely will get oily on you, because on my dry skin, it's like I kind of see it a little bit oily. Or the oil's kind of producing there a little bit. But not only that, but I don't know if I want to say it's kind of feeling a little bit cakey. It's really, really weird. I feel like if you're oily, it will feel a little bit oily on you. Where if you're dry, you will get those areas that are dry. So I would say if you're normal, check it out. If you're oily, definitely still check it out. I don't know. See how you've liked it. Because I've had it on my skin with and without Max Fix Plus. And, you know, without Max Fix Plus, it's okay as the day goes on. With Max Fix Plus, I like it a little bit better. But it does get a little bit oily. So I don't know how I feel about that. I will say the shade range is pretty disappointed. There's only about 8 shades. This is a newer product. So hopefully they're planning on getting more shades, but definitely for like deeper skin tones there's really not much to work with there. So overall with this foundation, I was a little bit surprised. I thought I was really not gonna like it. The first time I was like not that big of a fan, and I've tried a couple more times, and honestly I like it as the day kind of goes on when it doesn't dry out around the areas around my face. I will say why I'm not a huge fan of it is because it's not totally hydrating. If it were a little bit more hydrating, it would probably be better for my dry skin, but it does kind of emphasize like pores and areas around my face, so I'm not a big fan of that. I think it's okay. Looking in the mirror, like it's okay. On the camera it's coming off okay. It's not too over drying. So honestly, depending on your skin type, it's worth checking out. Get it from Ulta. You can always just return it whether you don't like it or not. So next we have the No Apologies Face Kit, and they have these in 3 different types of shades. I got mine in the one Work It, W-E-R-K, and so this is kind of cool. I think you can actually pop these out and put them, you know, in little individual quads and stuff, which is actually kind of cool if you want to customize and put in your Z palette. So it comes with 2 different section of 4 of quads. So you have 4 eyeshadows here, 4 eyeshadows here. You have a face highlight, and then you have a blush. There's some hits and misses in this palette together. I will say, I would say maybe kind of skip this palette. I think it was okay. The shades that I actually did end up liking the most would have to be these 2 kind of definitely more glittery, shimmery eyelid shades. I was actually, an initial application, I was very impressed by these eyeshadow shades. I wasn't as big of a fan of, say, like this more like matte shade. Actually, I wasn't a fan of these 2 shades. One thing I will say, I wish they had a more neutral matte kind of crease shade. I did make it work, specifically maybe for like this palette. I definitely kind of dusted this onto my crease. I think it was okay. And even go ahead and use your blush. I use this straight into my crease, and I think that blended out really, really nicely. The black shade though, the black is not that black. When you kind of pat it on, I would say definitely pack it on with more of a packing brush and then blend it out. Packing it on, I think it, you know, looks fine. I did layer it on top of this more brown shade, which is a little bit more shimmery. I just wish I had some more mattes to work with, especially on the outer crease and everything. But kind of when I did this just on its own, it was not that dark. Putting it on top of another shade, which you can definitely do like with a cream shadow, I think it'll definitely help it on its own though. It's not that great when you want to blend it out specifically. So I will, for example, when I added the black shade underneath my lash line, or in general even on my outer crease, when blending it out, it kind of comes off like a grayish, green, bluish shade when it blends out. It's like not black. So you definitely just have to add more product. I've definitely had that issue with other not so pigmented black shadows. Not my favorite. So my favorite black shadows, when you add it on, it's pigments in black, and it kind of blends out still that black, not like another shade of like green, gray, or blue. So not a big fan of that. I will say these 2 colors definitely do help the palette. I was a fan of this under eye highlight shade. It wasn't too chalky. It was a really, really nice like off-white, beige-ish, goldish type of a eggshell that I think is really, really great for underneath the eye. And then as well as these little kind of shimmer shades, I think were really, really great. So definitely the mattes not doing it for me. But one thing, well, I will say, I think they're pretty good, but they wear off. They don't last the longest, the eyeshadows, even while doing my makeup, especially for like this demo even specifically. But the couple times that I've used it, it takes me like an hour and a half, especially when it's like chill, I don't have anything to do, taking my time, waiting for my lashes to dry, just watching a little bit of YouTube. Within that like hour or so, you definitely see the pigmentation fading just a little bit, like it's not as stand out on the lids, kind of getting a little bit greasy. I've played with my drugstore eye primers, my high-end eye primers, and you know, it's like, okay, it's not that long lasting. The blush, I did like the blush. I liked the color, definitely was pigmented, it wasn't super duper chalky. I liked the application on my cheeks, but after throughout like say the workday, 4 hours or so, it definitely does start to fade off, and it fades off a little bit patchy. I've had different foundations, some of my favorite foundations, and it is a little bit patchy as it wear off after like the 4 or 5 hour mark. Highlight shade I think looks really nice, say if in photos or in video as I was applying it. When I was kind of seeing it on the camera, I think it looked really, really great. But when you kind of zoom in and go really, really close, like it just looks like the tiniest little specks of glitter. So I don't know when you've done like recently, I remember someone did like DIY projects, and then the glitter kind of goes everywhere and it's all around your body. That's what it just kind of looks like, those tiny little glitters. From far away, I think it gives off a really nice highlight, but when you go up close, those little glitters, it just looks like you dropped like glitter on your face or something. You're doing some sort of, you know, Pinterest project. So especially if you have like really large pores and you do not want to emphasize that, I would definitely say skip the highlight. And also the texture, it was not my favorite. I feel like I really kind of have to like dig in there with my highlight brush to kind of get much, and then when you do, you get little itty bitty little glitters kind of left behind. So I think this palette was okay. Definitely not something I would repurchase. If you have maybe a starter with like makeup and you want to get them a cute little, you know, Christmas gift, little stocking stuffer, maybe, you know, for someone who's just kind of experimenting with makeup a little bit younger, maybe this would be nice for them. I do like the packaging. I think it was really, really cute, but I do wish they would have had maybe like a mirror here. It is cute that you can see everything, but I always prefer a mirror on there. So kind of a pass for me. I definitely would not repurchase this or recommend for someone who wants really, really good, high quality, lasting makeup. So let's talk about something I really did not like. This was a total miss. This is the Kardashian Beauty. This is their No Apologies Concealer. It looks really, really cute. I actually had high hopes for this concealer. I love concealers. Ooh, let's just talk about, honestly, initial, like everything when I first got it, I swatched it on the back of my hand. I just wanted to see how it blended, and you know, I swatched this product and it comes off a little bit streaky, but when I blended it out, it just kind of blended out into nothing. I was like, what the heck? So initial back of my hand, I was like, what? Okay, but you know what? Let's try it underneath the eyes. This has like no coverage whatsoever. So first of all, I got the shade Light, and the coloring was pretty good for my skin, my tan right now, but there's like no coverage. So first of all, I'm not a fan of the Doe Foot Applicator. I don't think I've ever really had a problem with the Doe Foot Applicator from drugstore to high-end makeup, but this Doe Foot Applicator, it's like, it's very cheap. It's really, really small. It comes off kind of streaky on the back of your hand, so it's not like the most comfortable feeling underneath the eyes. Almost like you can feel like the little wires. That might be exaggerating, but kind of like that. Like it's a scratchy little brush. It does not pick up the most product either. Maybe because of the size and also because of the type of sponge, because it's so cheap. But when applying it underneath the eyes, you get little product. It starts to get a little bit streaky, and then so you want to blend it out underneath the eyes. So I was like, you know what, maybe blend out one and then the other, but you blend it out and it blends off into nothing. And I still see my dark circles. Even some of the concealers that have not really worked out for me, like it covers something at least. And then what I've noticed is like, okay, sometimes, you know, I'll do both eyes, and while I'm doing this eye, the other eye begins to fade, like it starts to just evaporate into nothing. I'm like, what the heck? So this even happened in the demo for you guys. So I was like, okay, let's just blend what we have to blend, no coverage whatsoever. Let's try a second layer or something. Blend it off again, nothing. So this does not crease under my eyes, but because there's nothing to crease, it just blends away. So definitely just skip this, forget about this. This does nothing for you. Also, not to mention, this is a $9 concealer. I have $3 concealers that have way more coverage, blend out and perform way better than this, and there's only 4 different shades. So this is a definite, like, what the heck were they doing with this? I actually had high hopes. Not even high hopes. I was just like, I'm pretty interested in this. I try not to get high hopes for anything in this. I was like, you know what? Let's just see what we get. And there was really not getting much from this product at all. A product that actually surprised me that I did not think I was gonna like. I had no expectations for this. I was like, whatever. Let's just check it out. This is their Kontour case. So they have two different shades. They have light/medium, which is the one that I bought, and then they have medium/deep. I was like, which one should I get? Because I'm kind of more tan, but I was like, you know what, let's get the light/medium because the deep probably will not work for me. And I wish I would have gotten the deep just to check it out, but these are about $15. $15.99. So I was like, okay, we're getting all these other products and you know, we're getting this. What I did, I actually used all my points to get this, so I really didn't spend anything. I spent about $5, which is pretty good. So I got the light/medium. I will say that this is really creamy, and usually I get that from some, actually no, I don't get that from all of them, but usually it's a good sign if it's creamy for me, for my dry skin, because that means it's gonna glide on beautifully. And it glides on, oh my god, I just wanted to paint my whole face with how nicely this glided on. And another thing that I actually really did like, so I can show you guys, was the fact that they had two, these are both like not shimmery at all, highlight shades. So they have a more yellow one, and then they have more like of a pinky beige shade, and then you have your contour shade. Honestly, with the contour shade, with swatching it on the back of my hand, because I am a little bit more tan, I was like, ooh, is this going to show up? Whatever, we'll still play with it, but I definitely know that this will show up when I'm my just natural type of non-tan shade. Normally I run around the MAC NC25. Right now I'm around maybe like 30, 35, between that range in MAC shades. I will list the rest of my shades down below, but definitely I'm on the tanner side. So you know what, let's just try it. But what I did like is I went in, because I was like, I wasn't sure which highlight to kind of use, and I played with both, and I was like, okay, let's try maybe the yellow one first. And I definitely think that was a good shade for underneath my eyes. If you want something a little bit more subtle, if you're a little bit darker than me, I think this will definitely pop on you a little bit more. But then I was like, you know what, let's go in and show you guys a little bit with like the more like pinky beige shade, and that definitely gave me more of a highlight. And normally for me, cream contours, especially from the drugstore, I'm not a fan of the highlight, of the way that it sits on my face, because it just gets really dry or it kind of like fades off. But this sat and blended on my face. It's blended out beautifully. It sat on the foundation really, really nicely. Given that this is not even my favorite foundation, it just sat on there really, really nicely. I was like, oh, okay. Great first impression. And kind of blending in underneath my eyes, it did not crease. It wasn't too heavy for underneath the eyes as well. Very, very impressed with these two highlights. I even went underneath with the more beige one to kind of sculpt out my eyebrows. The contour shade, honestly, I like the formula as well. I think it blended really well. Usually it comes to the contour shade where I'm disappointed with the more affordable cream contours, because it just fades and blends off into nothing. But even with my tan, and just like I was like, okay, let's go with the highlight, because I did have the highlights, the contour shade, you can still see it. I like the color. It wasn't too warm and it wasn't too cool, so I think the color was really, really nice, and I could still see it, see a glimpse of it. So I know once my tan fades, I think this is going to be a really great like color palette for me. I think maybe from the medium/deep contour kit, I would like that contour shade. I think it would definitely show up on me a little bit more. This still, I could still see it. I can still see a contrast from both those, especially when I went back in with the beige shade and kind of swiped that underneath my jaw. I think it worked out really, really well. So if there's anything to kind of really check out, I would say definitely check out the cream contour. If I have yet to find a really good drugstore cream contour that I like, and I was actually surprised that I did like this one. So the next product I actually was not a fan of at all. This is their Dashlight Strobing Dome. So this is their cream highlighting little dome thing. I think it looked really, really cute, and it's supposed to be definitely creamy. This was not creamy at all. Initial application, I straight went in with my finger, and this just feels so dry. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's go in with the finger and warm it up in the back of the hand. And you really have to work at trying to warm this product up. Go back in, add some more. The shade is really nice. Definitely not as gold as I thought. A little bit more champagne-y white. This is like the darker one too. So, but yeah, really, really chalky. It's like, alright, let's see what we can do with this initial application. Like, you just get chunks of product on your face, so you really have to really have to try to warm it up on the back of your hand. If not, you're gonna end up with chunks like I first did. I was like, what in the hell? And I didn't even try to go straight in with the product at first. I tried to warm it up, and even warming it up, it doesn't glide that easily. It's a little bit rough. So just, yeah, on the face, warm it up with the back of the hand. Really try to rub it in there once you get it on your face, and then go in with the, you have to like really work with this product. So definitely this, I actually thought this would work out. Not one bit. Like, definitely the cream contour kit, if it was that consistency, I think it'd be way better, but this was just way too dry. I don't know if it was just my product, but just way too dry and not gonna look good on the face. This also retails for about $10, and it comes in 2 shades, and they're more like, I guess this is supposed to be the darker shade. Definitely would not work on different skin tones. I feel like with my tan, I can still kind of sort of pull it off, but it still comes off a little bit lighter than I would hope for. So if you're tanner, I think the color's still not even gonna work for you, and the consistency, you won't like it. Lip products are so hard for me to pick out. I actually ended up getting 2 different types. The first one I got in 2 different colors because I honestly just couldn't decide. I could have done one color, but I decided to get 2, and this is their Mirror Matte Lip Crayons. I love lip crayons. I love matte lip crayons because they're so easy to apply, and I just love that it comes in a roller stick form. I don't know how I feel about these. Actually, I do know how I feel about these. They're not that great. I'm not a big fan. I honestly, with lip crayons, I usually end up loving them. These are supposed to be definitely more on the matte side. So the first shade that I got, this one is in Nude Blush, and the second one is in Fuchsia Lace. This is a little bit darker than I thought it would be. If you're a little bit tanner, I think the color will come off on you really nicely. But these are supposed to be matte. And this shade in particular, they kind of perform differently. This is the lighter one than the darker one. The lighter one, they have a smell. Not a big fan of the smell. It lingers on for a little bit and then it'll kind of go away. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not too bothered by that. But when applying this one, I have tried to exfoliate my lips, make sure they're, you know, prepped and ready for especially matte products. But when applying this one, just the way it kind of drags around the lips, and I feel like I kind of have to like paint through my fine lines, and it just kind of gets a little bit flaky. I don't like the way it sits on the inside of my lip, and then it just, I feel the initial like matteness. I just feel it drying down and getting really matte, and it starts to get uncomfortable. So not too big of a fan. Now this color, the Fuchsia Lace, I loved. I think the color was nice. It was interesting the way that it kind of performed. It's a darker color, and when applying it on my lips, I feel like it almost applied like, I don't know if you've had this with like a liquid lipstick, when it doesn't apply evenly. You know, say you're kind of going on, you're moving in, but if you layer too much, it starts to get a little bit darker, get a little bit patchy. It doesn't just glide on evenly, so you really have to kind of work at that. But then immediately it just, you can kind of see it kind of like bleeding, you know, kind of like when you use a marker and you press on it too hard in certain areas and it just kind of bleeds out. So definitely, if you're gonna get a darker color, use a lip liner, because the feathering, it was just kind of like feathering out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to clean that up with concealer. So I don't know, the consistencies felt a little bit different, because if anything, I expected the darker shade to dry on my lips matte quicker, or like just in general, like it would be the more drying formula. Usually like the brighter, the darker colors usually are the more drying ones, but surprisingly this one felt more drying on my lips than the darker shade. The color was beautiful. I really did like the pink shade, but I just didn't like how it didn't apply as evenly on my lips. I kind of saw the darker in some areas than others, so a little bit disappointed in these. Did not perform as I thought they would. Also, for $10, I feel like they should perform way better. I think the e.l.f. matte lip crayons, which are about, what, $3, perform way better, and they feel way better on the lips. My last product is the Kardashian Lip Slayer lipstick, and honestly I'm glad I picked up the 2 different lipstick formulas, because if I had to say which lipstick to check out, I would definitely say check out this formula a little. I definitely like this a little bit better. These also run for about $10. They're not matte, they're definitely more on the creamy, comfortable side. They actually feel kind of like a beeswaxy type of formula, so if you don't like that, you probably won't like it. I don't mind it. I think it's fine, but honestly the pigmentation is really nice. I actually really did like it. This one is in the shade Phoenix. I think this is a really nice red. Oh, I love the pigmentation, so I was like, okay, thank you. At least this lipstick worked out. I was like, okay, lipstick is not that difficult. So definitely if you are wearing this type of brighter color in this formula, I will say to line your lips in general with creamier formulas. It will go everywhere. So especially if you're wearing a bright shade, wear a lip liner. But I have really nothing bad to say about this color. I love the pigmentation. I love the way that it glided on the lips. If you don't like that beeswax formula, that will be the issue with it, but once again, I do not mind it. So definitely check this one out. I think this is one. If you want to check out one of the lipsticks, check this one out. So that was my review and demo of the newer products that just came out from the Kardashian beauty collection. I honestly had never tried out initially. I feel like they did a little bit revamping. They definitely upped their packaging, modernized it a little bit better, just made it a little bit more, give it like a luxe feel. So that I feel like that definitely drew my eye towards it. Like, you know what, let me check this out, see what's going on. And there's definitely some hits, some misses, some really questionable products going out there. But if you've tried any of these, let me know if you agree or disagree with me. Make sure to check the description box for some more reviews and demos on products, especially maybe like more drugstore affordable, because it's definitely a little bit higher up there than the drugstore, but still not too expensive. So definitely check those out if you'd love to see reviews and demos. I definitely want to do a bunch more for you guys, so make sure to subscribe to keep up with some more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.